What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here bringing you another video. Today's video is on Power Rangers Dino Charge. So, in my previous video, I mentioned to you guys that Power Rangers Dino Charge Episode 1 is out online now. If you go on the Nick website, you can find it. I'll tell you this much, as I said in that video, it is good. It's very good. It's definitely where Saban needs to be now. They needed to improve what they were doing. This first episode alone looks really good. There's a lot of great backstory and just, it's excellent. As you may have guessed, this is going to be the review video for that for episode 1. So let me get started by talking a little bit about just about the intro. So as the intro begins, we get to meet a few of the villains for the season. We get to meet Fury, who in Japan would be the Gold. We get to meet Wrench. I forget the Japanese name for him. There's Poisandra, who and just so you know, Wrench is the blue, is the one that has like the blue and always looks teary or whatever, and Poisandra is the one with the hearts. I don't remember either of their names really, because it's been a little while since I've watched Kyoroger, but at the same time I loved Kyoroger, and so far it looks really great. Sledge, pretty good character so far. I'm liking him. I'm liking the whole entire, like, the idea that they're trying to get across with, you know, Poisandra and Sledge trying to become close friends. I mean, not close friends, what am I saying? They want to get married. Yeah, I mean, with that, and the thing is that their relationship, currently speaking, I might be stretching it just a little bit, might be stretching it a lot, depending on the person who may be watching this, but to me, doesn't it kind of remind you a little bit of Rita and Zed? Just a little bit. I'm not saying that necessarily completely, but doesn't it kind of give you that sense of you know, Lord Zed and Rita? I kind of feel that way with them. I don't know why. I'm liking it that way, because I'm noticing some of their, like, the things they're doing. Like Fury basically is kind of representing Goldar, and Wrench sort of seems like Babu and Squat. I actually kind of see that. It's really cool. I like that. If you haven't noticed, I'm not sure about. I remember the green one, Lucky Toe, I believe it was, or something like that in Japan. Maybe he'll be the one of the two between Babu and Squat, because it feels like Babu would probably be, at least so far, it seems like Wrench is Babu in a way. It's interesting how they're kind of bringing that origin feel to it with the villains. Some other things I can say. We also were introduced to this character that I mentioned to you 2 videos ago when I talked about what my opinions of the titles and the summaries for the first 4 episodes look like. The Keeper. So I was thinking at the time, it could be another Ranger, it could be an Americanized version of Torin. It wasn't Torin. Nothing saying that Torin won't show up as a character in some form, but currently speaking, it doesn't seem necessarily likely. Obviously, he's not Keeper. Keeper looks like an alien kind of creature. I'm not exactly sure what he is, and I'm not sure if anyone knows what he is. People are getting this assumption that he looks like E.T. I'll tell you this much right now, I don't buy that. It doesn't look like E.T. I see that, but at the same time, I would not go as far to say, oh yeah, he looks like E.T. He does not look like E.T. He seems like a pretty decent character so far. There hasn't been that much going on with him. With the intro, you get to see Fury going after the Energems, which I mentioned to you, were the little things that allow them to gain their powers. Very important stuff, obviously, for the show. He's kind of like, obviously, the Keeper is meant to be the guardian of the Energems, so makes sense, but we don't really know what he is. So the episode continues with him trying to defend the Energems by pretending to play dead and then giving Fury the Energems, supposedly, and it being false. You would think to yourself, why didn't he check it? I don't know. It's the story. It's whatever they do. Later on, he finds out later on that not the smartest idea, because, well, let's just say the entire base ends up getting pretty beaten up and destroyed, and they're forced to land on Earth. But prior to that, we get to see this awesome scene, which I'll have to say this. Who doesn't like that scene with the cell block scene where like you see the rain, where you see Poisandra and Sledge traveling through this through the prison cells, and you see all those villains. I'm sure the majority of them, if not all of them, are from the Kyroger / Dino Charge. Maybe one or two of them from previous seasons. I couldn't really tell. It looked like a lot of them were from Dino Charge / Kyroger technically now, because a lot of them haven't, because technically it hasn't happened yet, so you get my point. So that looked like a really cool scene. Not to mention the other thing is that there's a lot of original footage right there. Yeah, that's right, original footage. I'm not joking. I'm very serious. And I'll tell you this much. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Very happy about that. You have no idea how happy I was when I found out that, when I started seeing all that, I was like, wow, they're doing a lot of original stuff. And you know what? They are. And it looks good. The base that they were on in the ship, that looks new. It doesn't look like the thing on the, underneath where, you know, like you saw like the different areas where they'd have to gain a certain amount of love or sadness or something else. Like, they didn't do that. They didn't copy that. That's what they could have done. That would have been something I would have expected. But because they introduced Sledge, original. Otherwise, they would have done that. Obviously, we haven't seen what they're going to do with Chaos or not. We'll have to wait and see. But it should be good. I'll be very curious to see what Chaos will be like. I'm trying to think of who else would. What else can I say about it? So the beginning has that explosion happening, and the majority of the characters of the villains being shot out. Then we see a little bit of a skirmish between Fury and the Keeper, and eventually it switches to present day, where which I actually want to say one thing which I just remembered right now. The asteroids. That was one thing when I first, because I actually watched this, I've watched this now like twice or so, and I'll tell you this much, one thing I didn't really notice was the asteroids. Obviously what the asteroids were meant to symbolize is supposedly, like, in the Power Ranger universe, the dinosaurs were, like, as everyone always, you know, people always assume that asteroids fell to the earth, or meteorites fell to the earth, and that caused the dinosaurs to go extinct, or maybe it's volcanic eruption, or maybe it's something else, or maybe it's just a glacier or something else. In this show, they basically say, okay, because Keeper did this, the asteroids fell, and that's where the dinosaurs died. That's basically what I'm getting from this, and it's interesting. It's an interesting idea. It wasn't what they did in the Sentai at all. In the Sentai, they actually made it out like the villain for that season. He's back during the time of the dinosaurs. It was a glacier. They made it out like it was a glacier back then. So, you know, different story, different things. And you know what? I liked it a little bit more now. I actually like it more that they're doing that, because, you know, it's through the show, and it's like, oh, a certain character did this, which resulted in this, so that happened. Like, you know, it's that chain reaction. You know what? I like that, because you know what? It's original, it's new, and you know what? It works. It does. It really does work. Just in general, the villains just really work together. I like really feel like good characters in regard to just overall that they play off of each other pretty well. Let's talk about modern day, as I was going to say before. So we get to see the museum, which I mentioned in my video about the summaries of the episodes. That museum looks perfectly fine. One thing I will tell you is that when I saw that first time, I immediately started like coming to the realization, ooh, that's it. Like, I was looking at it and I was thinking, ooh, that's interesting. Because what it reminded me of instantly was it kind of gave me that Jungle Fury vibe in regard to the fact that, you know, you see them working there and all that. Though it's obviously not as much like Jungle Fury because of the fact that, well, it's only Shelby who's working there. It's not every single person. It's just Shelby. If it were Chase, if it were, you know, Tyler and all these other people, then I would understand it. That obviously I'm talking about the restaurant. Also, there was the scene with Chase and you know, Tyler speaking to one another about where's this mountain, or like where's this cave where his father apparently went to do some research back earlier in time or whatever, and he got lost. We also get to see a scene where Tyler himself afterwards will go to that cave, but let's first talk about what else happens in the restaurant. So Shelby's all about dinosaurs apparently. She loves the Triceratops already. Obviously they tried to make it work so that it made it out like you know, it flowed with the story because that's what she's gonna get. What else can I say? She's desperate to go on a fossil hunt, so apparently she's into dinosaurs, though she's not at the level of becoming a major employee, as you can tell, because she works at this restaurant. She's barely doing, she can barely do what she's doing now, so yeah. But, you know, it's interesting because it does, regardless of what I said before about how it didn't feel like Jungle Fever, it does in a way, because the thing is that pretty much everyone, I mean, obviously we haven't really seen Riley, I think it was, and, you know, Tyler hasn't gotten a job at the museum yet, but something tells me, and I feel like I'm probably right about this, they're probably going to give the two of them jobs at the museum so that they all work there, so that they kind of have like their own disguises as like regular civilians, so that they all kind of blend in with the world and they kind of just work on one another. The other thing that's going to be cool about that is the fact that, currently speaking, it's not like Megaforce and Super Megaforce where before they had to go to school and all that. School's not bad, it's just that, you know, it kind of separated the story and it wasn't something that wasn't necessarily that interesting. Well, this is like, okay, their base is in the same location. It's like, okay, what am I saying? There hasn't been any confirmation of the base yet. Oh, I'm assuming things now. Sorry. No, but I mean, it does seem like it might be a potential base for them, the museum, and well, we'll see. I mean, there's some hints that kind of give you a sense that probably Brennan, who's this, or what was her name again? She was this female character that kind of was in charge of a couple of the people that worked there. The one with the glasses, she's the female. I forgot, I didn't completely catch her name. She seems like she probably has some previous history there, so probably what will happen is that maybe she knows a certain room and she has power there. I mean, it's unclear at this moment, but from what you are seeing of it, it looks pretty good. As I mentioned before, that Shelby wants to go with them to go fossil hunting and searching for dinosaur stuff. There's a scene with Coda and Chase where the two of them are speaking to Shelby. Coda seems like this kind of goofy character. As I mentioned in that episode summary video, I was uncertain as to what they were going to do with Coda, whether or not they were going to put him as like a Geki Red kind of character or not. From what we've seen so far, he does seem a little bit more, you know, ape-esque, but he's not to the point where I would say that he resembles Geki Red. It's still very early. It seems like they really didn't give him much of a story to go on yet, but then again, apparently with the summaries, that next episode was when he's supposed to be next episode is when he's supposed to be really introduced, so I'll be curious to see what they do there, how original that would be, if they give him like a real story, because currently speaking, Tyler's story is pretty good. I'll get into that very soon, but let's keep going here. So eventually Shelby wants to follow them. She goes into this vehicle, the truck that they travel by to research the dinosaur fossils. We get to see Tyler going and looking into the cave where he ends up meeting the first villain, as I mentioned, and I was 100% right about the first villain being right back there and appearing again. So yep, the ice glacier dude or whatever. I don't know what they're referring to him as in America. I forget what his Japanese name is because it's one episode, and just in general, I'm not like an expert on every single name of every single villain. So don't expect me to know every single villain unless they tell the names. And last time I checked, they never said what his name was. So don't question me. What else can I say? So he's in the cave apparently, which personally confused me a lot, because if he's in the cave, then where was he? If you actually watch the Cell Block part, which I would hope by now you had, he's kind of in one of the cells, and if you hadn't noticed, like, there was a small portion of the ship that separated from the main body of the ship. So when that part fell, was that, like, the smaller part fell, was the prison part of it? And if so, why? I mean, that's one thing that really confused me, was the fact that, yeah, you saw that, and then you could tell that a lot of them just fell out and they separated from the ship and went their own ways, because, like, Fury did that. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, okay, so the prisoners were able to escape to Earth. Okay. Alright. I have no idea how that makes much sense. Don't ask me. The show did that. Personally, I was a little bit skeptical, not very sure as to why they would do that. I don't know. Don't ask me. That seemed a bit off with the context, but at the same time, it's like, what are they gonna do? But, you know, it's just one point I noticed. I'm not gonna complain that much about it. It was just one little thing, and I understand why, and I understand it. They can't do much else, and they wanted to have a villain for the episode, and it's understood. I mean, would it have happened differently? Yeah. So anyway, also, as you can tell, why was that monster there? Because the fact that he was trying to find the Energems, of course. So Tyler ends up getting them, and what happens is that he meets Shelby. Because Shelby ends up leaving Chase and Coda and searching on her own, and she ends up bumping into Tyler, who is being attacked by that monster, and then eventually they try to go after they try to activate the Energems. In the process of grabbing, they end up being frozen. They end up touching it just barely, and then they end up gaining the powers and the knowledge of the dinosaurs, and you know, she becomes one with the Triceratops, and he becomes one with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So that's cool. We get to see them rangered up. They do a little bit of fighting, nothing too big, and then we get to see the Tyrannosaurus, like the Tyrannosaur, or whatever they're gonna call it. And basically it's just charging through. We don't get to see a really good image of it. We kind of just see it for like first person view, and the thing is that since it's tall, you're really seeing up rather than seeing a good view of it from the side or just in general, because you have to remember it's pretty long and it's pretty high up, so balancing it out and all that, they didn't really do that. They make it cute when they decide to you know, make him chase after the dinosaur and just chew him up. Kind of interesting, kind of curious as to where he came from and what was the connection there and how is that possible. I'm guessing it's probably something to do with the fact that when they activated the powers, the dinosaurs came to be. Obviously, you can assume that you have to remember, if you've watched Kiro Oger, that they show the dinosaurs being there. Maybe it was something that was activated where, like, since there was that cave, maybe he came through the cave. Like, the thing is that as soon as that's activated, the fossilized being of himself comes out of that cave. That's what I could assume. That's the only thing I could really think of. Otherwise, it would make no sense as to why in the world would that ever happen. That's just my assumption, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the best assumption we're gonna get. So, yeah. I mean, you may think to yourself, well, how come there wasn't the Triceratops? I have no idea. I mean, other than the fact that in the Sentai they never showed the Triceratops that early, and let alone the fact that the Triceratops was not very much so, you know, hyped to any extent. So yeah, following this, we get to hear a little bit of a backstory about Tyler's father, about how he went in search of dinosaur fossils. He was on an excavation or whatever, and what happened was that in the process of being on the excavation, he was being stalked by, oddly enough, it was actually Fury. So yeah, and they show a clear image showing that he drew apparently of Fury, and they didn't know obviously the Rangers didn't know who it was yet, so they just kind of assumed it was a villain. Now, one thought I have on this is, now I just want to give you a general idea of what my theory is of Fury, because what happens is that the moment afterwards when they explain that, and like she ends up seeing a picture of Tyler's father and saying, oh, I hope I get to meet him someday or whatever, and trying to be nice, we get to see Fury, and Fury's like, I smell energems. Something tells me, because of the fact that it was so quick, that maybe, just maybe, Fury is Tyler's dad. That's just one theory I have. Sure, they could do it the Sentai way, where they decide to make him something else. And the rumor has it that he was apparently supposed to be, the Sixth Ranger is supposed to be this 10,000-year-old being or something like that, or 1,000-year-old, I don't even remember exactly. He was supposed to be like some knight, similar to in the Sentai, so they're kind of connecting that over. That would be interesting. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's my theory on him. Could be completely false, could be that they're doing exactly what the Sentai did and basing it off of the American stuff so that it flows with that. I have no idea yet. I'm just thinking that just in general, because unlike in the Sentai where we at least got to see some you know, flashback moments where we show, you know, him as a kid seeing his father, at least we have like an idea and all that. We have an image, but we don't know much of anything. We don't know what he really has to do with anything other than the fact that he was being chased by him. Like, is he him? Like, is Fury him? And he ended up becoming one, because if you've watched Kira Oger, you would know that the mask has is really just him. Like, the body is separate. I have no idea. So I guess that's all I can really say about that. Last thing I forgot to mention, which is pretty key, the opening. I really liked the opening in combination with all the video elements of it. It looked really good. So many things were done really well there. You know, the changing, like when the Rangers change and all that, the sound that happens with each of them, you know, it matches. Really, really excellent. Playing off of each other really, really well. Overall, the characters seem pretty good. I'm just excited to see what happens in the next episode. And just in general, I thought that this episode was just really good. It gave a good amount of story. You know, we have a good sense of who Tyler is. That's really excellent. We know our Red Ranger. We know him. That's cool. Our Pink Ranger, we know not too much, but we know enough to say, okay, we get a general sense of who she is. Our Green Ranger, not too much. Blue Ranger, barely anything. Black Ranger, we haven't seen him once. And that's about it right now. The minor characters, we have a very tiny sense of them. But overall, it looks like a pretty good, it looks like it's looking really good. A lot of people have been agreeing with me with this. It looks really, really excellent, and it feels like the 90s when it originally came out, when all these great seasons were happening. It really does, and I'll tell you this much, it's an exciting season so far. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that maybe they'll, even though the first episode is supposed to go up on the on the television, but like on TV, you know, the 7th, maybe they'll decide to upload the second episode online at least next week, so that we get to see it online, and then when everything's caught up, they'll stop doing that, and then it will just be balanced again. If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. I'll just hope and wait and see. So I guess that's all I can say right now. And again, this has been Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you our Dino Charge Episode 1 review, Powers from the Past. So I hope to see you guys next time, and good night.